over time, that would create an environment of more ease. I don't think it's that we're meant to lay around and get massages all day, although I'd like to.
Hi, everyone. So I have a very special episode in store for you. I am doing a co-interview with Katie Silcox. This interview is going to go live on both podcasts, and I can't wait to have this amazing conversation. So welcome, Katie.
Hello. So excited to be here with my Ayurveda sister.
So Katie, I got to meet you at a conference this year. I had heard about you. I had heard about your school. And I was like, who is this chick? Like, what is she about? Is Shakti school spiritual? Is it Ayurvedic? Is it like, what is it? And so I'd love for you to kick us off with what Shakti school is, what it's about, so people can understand it, including myself.
I love hearing you say Shakti with the perfect pronunciation. First of all, thank you so much for having me. And I've been looking forward to talking to you for a long time. And I discovered this word when I was living in India, and Shakti literally means power. And so everyone has it, men have it, women have it, but it is that feminine form energy that is prana, right? The life force that lights up all of our heartbeat, our blood flowing through our veins, our thoughts. Like I always think about a frog, like ribbit. It's the thing that makes the frog ribbit. And we don't have to try to do it. It does us. And so Shakti School is a place where we learn how to feel better and have more energy and have more of a connection to that life force in a way that feels in alignment with the soul. And Ayurveda is like the sister science that helps that physical realm do better so we can actually feel that spark that all of us really want to be.
Absolutely. And don't you feel like as we age sometimes, it's almost like the spark becomes nebulous. Everyone around me is in their 40s at this moment. And then a lot of women who I love and are dear friends are in their 50s and 60s. And I feel like the biggest question is, why don't I feel the same? And we call it vitality. We call it vibrancy. I want vibrant health. Some people call it their glow. But I really think of it as like, I have an energy and I've always known that energy. And I've always been able to tune in and I can leverage that energy to accomplish everything I want to accomplish. I'm a Pitta, so I'm fire, and I just tune into my fire and I can go. And whenever I can't, that causes me to pause and say, okay, where's the imbalance? What's not happening? And usually the one thing that's missing is self-nourishment. Like totally like we get into, oh my gosh, I have to eat clean. I have to work out. We have the I have to list, I shoulds. We should all over ourselves. And I always pause and say, okay, well, you're an Ayurvedic practitioner. What's the homework? Write the prescription. And I sit down and I'm like, circadian walks. Tea time is me time. I basically write everything I teach down. And then I'm like, okay, so do your homework. It's called self-nourishment. You can't skip over it. So I love that you call it Shakti school. My name, Shivani, means wife of Lord Shiva, or the feminine form of Shiva. And I was looking it up the other day. I was in ChatGPT. I was like, ChatGPT, I know what my name means, but I'm curious what you think. Because what I've been told is Shivani means strength, power, and energy. It's the traits of Shiva, which is the same as Shakti, or goddess Durga, as we think of it. And so it's just so beautiful that you named a whole school that. And then
we named it for you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
As you're talking, I'm like jealous. I have name envy because I'm like, you have so Shivani is the activated form of Shiva. Yeah. Like Shiva alone is just chilling on the mountain, like meditating on his oneness. Shivani is like, he's down, he's off the mountain, he's in the world. And, knowing you, that is your superpower. And I think the 40s and 50s are really hard. And Ayurveda calls it basically the shit sandwich of life, stress. Like you've got the fire of your aging parents on one side. Your cells are not replicating like they used to. You are having more of a consciousness around death. And you have kids and pets and jobs and babies. And you wrote a book. Congratulations. Like that stress sandwich creates a pressure cooker that saps our energy. And I think you and I are both fire princesses, and I'm in the same boat. Like I can't get it up anymore the way I used to be able to for drive and ambition. Like, and I think I remember my Ayurveda mentor would say, you have a lot of pitta, and when you are asked to slow down, it's going to feel like a death to your ego.
Correct.
So how do we A, keep our life going, but B, find those moments of nourishment? And what I'm curious about your thoughts around this, because this is where the nuance of rest comes into play. I can build in all the time for neti pot, self-massage, tea time is me time. By the way, your teas, so I don't mind telling your listeners, I told Dr. Shivani, my whole house, this is not metaphorical, my actual human being home burned down to the ground, half of it gone. And everything inside of it is gonesies. And I wrote, this is not a lie, Shivani's not paying me anything. I wrote Kirsten, my staff, and I go, I need the turmeric from Dr. Shivani and all the teas. And she went and used our affiliate code and she bought me all your products because they have become a part of my sanity. And I mean, literally, it's like the first email I wrote was, I need the turmeric because of that inflammation.
Absolutely.
Literally of my own entire life. I ended up giving it all to my mom. But anyways, my point with all of this is we can build in all of these Ayurvedic things, but if the quality of our mind is still in any form self-punishing or harsh or critical, it doesn't even work.
I know.
So how are you dealing with like your inner world while you're doing these outer world self-care?
Profound question. So I wrote this book, The Inflammation Code, and books are quite an act of love. It is way harder than I imagined. So last summer I sat and wrote it. That was like a lot to energetically put all the love and wisdom and knowledge of 20 years into a work of art. And it's so scientific. So you're sitting through a lot of research and science. And then I wrote it, I handed it to Hay House, and I was like, okay, it's yours. It's awesome. Let me know. And they were like, it's great. And of course, if you work with a publisher, there's actually a lot more steps than you realize. And I just know that for the last year, I've been in anguish about this thing I did because all those voices came in. You're not that smart. You're not that capable. You're just one Ayurveda girl. You know, your Ayurvedic mentors of like, who've done this for 50 years know better than you. Like all those voices came in. And I have had
Who are you to do this?
Who are you to do this? Everyone's going to hate it. Everyone's going to think you're dumb. Like all the voices came in. And I have had to sit myself down and say, look, it was an act of love. The universe gave it to you. It's from the universe. It's not even from you. So take your egotistical self out of this equation completely and get over it. You are in this moment gifted this, and your job is to share it. But I wrote a chapter in this book, and of course, when you're writing, the creative process is open. And so I renamed the Doshas elemental design because I was like, if I keep using all of these Indian Sanskrit words, everyone's going to think I'm just weird and they're not going to absorb. So I was like, well, I love human design. And really, I'm trying to teach you to live your entire life on your elements. And the words elemental design came into my mind in the shower where all my genius ideas come in. And I was like, okay, that's it. And then later I was taking a shower and I was like, God, I just need a word for like the fact that if I stress out the whole time on the whole ride through life, it doesn't matter how much cool Ayurveda shit I do to myself. I'm still going to have, we got fireworks here. I'm still going to end up inflamed, still going to end up sick. I'm going to end up depleted. Like you're doing the homework, but you're still running the car in this really bad way. And so that's when the phrase mental inflammation came in because the whole book is the inflammation code. So of course I'm going to teach you physical inflammation and all those things. But what Ayurveda really said was our goal is body, mind, and spirit alignment. And we can do all the physical and we can do all the personal self-help stuff. I love that stuff. I can learn how to emotionally manage myself better always. But if I allow the consciousness, the stressors, my parents' generation, my teen generation under me, and life, because life in this moment, it's hard. Post-pandemic life is harder than pre-pandemic life.
It is.
then all of a sudden those stressors will be causing the mental inflammation that will cause the physical inflammation. So like you said, a lot of my awareness in the last year is, yes, all the Ayurveda homework matters. It works. It's beautiful. But I really use it as like I relish each thing with love and I put more reverence into it so I get more joy out of it because I need that peace more than ever. Like I need the peace I get from it even more than I need the thing itself sometimes. That's how I think of it now.
Thank you. Thank you. I love all of these new ways of it's reminding me, obviously you're Indian and that lineage runs through you. And I always say, yeah, but reincarnation. So I'm probably very Indian as well.
Correct.
So, this whole thing is so universal.
Yeah. And anyone I find like you, like in my life, I've met so many people of different races, different groups, different everything, skin colors.
Yeah.
Who are so Indian. And I'm like,
Indian.
I'm like, you are obviously Indian in a past life. There's so many people who come to my house. They just want to eat Indian food all the time. I'm like, and I'm just here to feed.
when we met, I was laughing because it was like, I was so deep into like the philosophical, mystical part of it. And you were a little bit more that like medical brain. And it was super cool to like merge our hearts around it. But going back to what you're saying, I love that I feel like you have the authority as an Indian woman to rename the doshas. And I love the names and like mental inflammation is that pitta in the mind. And so one of the things that like I created a whole Ayurveda school. You have to have a huge ego to do that. And you have to have a lot of fire to do that.
Yes, you do.
So that's the beauty of our fire, right? But here's the shadow side of that I'm really in the work of now that God decided to literally burn down my house. And I'll tell you, there are way worse things that can happen to a person. And so I'm not poor meing, but in that lesson, the deeper lesson that I'm in currently, because I'm still in it, when you have a tragedy like that, it takes a while. But the lesson that is starting to emerge from that is that despite having created a whole Ayurveda school, there is a part of me, not the full part, but a tiny part that still believes that I am a problem to be fixed and a project to be solved. And I need to be something better. And it's not to say we don't want to, of course, do good things for ourselves and eat right and be better in a certain sort of fundamental level. But on a deeper level than that, if we are approaching anything we do, including our self-improvement from any place of harshness, the outcome will be more pitta.
Correct.
It's so subtle, but am I approaching this because I secretly want to be different? I secretly want to be better, prettier, smarter, more lovable, a better wife, a better girlfriend. Like, yes, of course. That's a level, my teacher calls it, of violence against ourselves. And there's such a fear in us pitta types that if we take off that harshness, and some of it's really bad, and some of it's just subtle. If we take the gas off that, we'll be lazy people that lay on the couch and eat donuts and don't write books and don't start schools and, die covered in cats, right? And it's like, so we have to like convince ourselves that, look, you can actually get more done and be more impactful in the world if you aren't having your pedal pushed to harshness.
Oh my gosh. I love that you said that. I am definitely one of those people, you just defined me basically. And I have my foot slammed all the way down on the accelerator like a jerk, like as if you're on the freeway.
Why are you exhausted?
Exactly. I'm like absolutely full throttle. I actually did that the other day. I drove to St. Petersburg. On the way back, I was almost late for a speaking engagement. I was on an express lane, so no one else was on it. I went 130 miles an hour.
Oh my God.
I've never driven that fast. I was like, I have no choice.
I can't believe you drove 130.
I did. I actually love to speed, but I prefer to do it on express lanes where I can't harm another human. I'm like in a track, like at my own racetrack. But I went full throttle. And I have found that when you do a book launch, unfortunately, you are in a very crunch timeline. You're saying, okay, It's 3 months pre-launch. Go. And my team and I are putting me on 200 podcasts. That's our target goal. And it literally makes my eye twitch because
Is that like 2 a day?
no, it's 3 days a week of 5 a day. That's how I'm doing it. It's 15 a week. So every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I get here and I'm like, okay, protein shake.
Oh
Okay,
my
tea.
God. You
All
are
right,
going to be the
Shivani.
most podcasted human in the world.
I probably will be. And here's the thing. It's so imbalancing to your pitta that the repercussion of it is in your off time, almost like an athlete, you have to downshift so hard.
Yeah.
And so on my weekends, I'm like, okay, just lay in nature and chill out. But I don't know that just because, like you just said, just because you go full on 100%, 110, and you think that your zero is restful, I find the zero is not restful.
Right.
Because if
There's
you,
such a momentum.
correct. So there's no slowdown. It's like a pretend slowdown. I literally every day I'm like, can you please go get a massage? Can you please book something? Like you actually have to go do more therapies, chiro, acupuncture, and massage if you're going to ramp up pitta that way. And then guess what? What are you going to generate? Ayurveda says we generate those fires. What's going to happen? You're going to cause joint pain. You're going to cause inflammation in your brain. You're going to cause brain fog. So every time I see the symptoms start to creep up, I'm like, oh, you already know what that's from. You know the homework is to cool pitta. So it's just interesting. I agree with you. We're in a time where we think it's okay to do that. I'm accepting that I chose to write this book and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. But how do I so love myself through it and follow what the book says? Like the book teaches the Ayurveda lifestyle. There's no point burning yourself into the ground, literally in your case with the house, like getting burnt to the ground.
But here's the tantra. Okay. But you will. Yeah. And that's why I love tantra. It takes the shadow, it takes the poison, it takes the imbalance, the dosha, and it says yes to it. And I don't think that you're not going to run the pitta right now. And so there's a tantric method whereby you are actually opening to the fire. And when my house burned down, my tantra teacher, and by the way, I didn't want to do this, but she's like, I want you to, I know it seems counterintuitive, but I actually want you to meditate on the ash. I want you to feel the quality of the black, gritty. And I was like, ugh, I just want to get away because everything, literally this hairbrush, if you're not seeing us, I'm holding up a crappy little Barbie hairbrush that I use because I have very fine Vata hair. This thing, I had to clean the ashes out of it to use it. And so everything in me wants to run away from the black soot. And yet, if you can be in your book launch and I can be in my setting up my life again project while also running a company and actually open to the feeling of being exhausted or run down or burned out, or it's actually by opening to the thing that we don't want to be, the anxious one, the angry one, whatever it is, that we can create this really magical room where the energy behind the anxiety that's running us at 130 miles an hour can be revealed. It's the opposite. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're like, oh, I'm stressed out, rest.
Right.
And now that becomes the new school marm who's like, rest, Shivani, rest. And you're like, love, F you, mom. You know, it's actually just like, you could do your 200 podcasts. This is like a master level, right?
Yeah.
With like a complete openness and zero harshness to all the energies that are going to arise. And over time, that would create an environment of more ease. I don't think it's that we're meant to lay around and get massages all day, although I'd like to.
Sure. You know what's interesting? What came up? When I built my supplement company, Fusionary Formulas, a decade ago, I sat down on a friend's couch, and she is like this priestess sage woman. I should probably be talking to her monthly at this point or weekly. Her name's Ragda. She's in Jacksonville. And I remember my son was 2, so my daughter was 5. And I sat down on her couch and I said, Ragda, I don't know what to do. I finished this turmeric PhD. I'm so obsessed with turmeric. I know I'm meant to impact the world with turmeric. My husband and the people around me just found me the best factory on earth with the best scientists on earth. And I think I could make the best turmeric in the world.
Mm.
But I have a 2-year-old. And I committed to being this organic mama. And my first book was on Ayurvedic pregnancy. So I know fully what we are meant to do to have these organic, healthy, beautiful Zen babies. What do I do? She goes, Shivani, you know that you're pure pitta on fire. And you know you always wanted to create things to change the world in Ayurveda. So here the universe is conspiring to give you everything to make the best turmeric after you just studied turmeric. And your main complaint is that it's going to make you an imbalanced mom. If you can just allow the understanding that you will be imbalanced for the journey, and you can go eyes wide open in and say, I'm going to be imbalanced. It is going to be like so all over the place. It's going to be messy. It's not going to be easy. Certainly not going to be a great mom in many instances. And I'll definitely suck as an entrepreneur half the time. If I'm okay with the sucking in all the departments, but I get to build my dream, is it worth it? And I chose yes. And I'm so glad I did. And Fusionary definitely was rough the first 7 years. It didn't make a dime. It was not a profitable entity. And then finally, in the last 3 years, my kids are older. I'm a different person. I've evolved and changed. I got great mentors. Mentors are the game changer. And now we're on this beautiful racetrack of winning. And now that I've known what the suck and the mess could look like so intimately, it was so rough. As we grow it, I can only enjoy that ride because I'm like, okay, we're on the positive. Is it a 10x? No, it's at 20%. But you know what? I know how to do this now in a balanced way. I can actually balance these plates. And so I love that you said that, like open yourself up to what it's going to be. And I think that's the power of the doshas, right? Like once you understand your constitution, you understand the fullness of how imbalanced you can be. And then you have that opportunity to balance within it. And so my question to you, since you're Vata first, whenever I meet Vatas, I'm like, oh my gosh, like Vatas can be such a tornado energy. And I'm so Pitta and I ground myself so much. So how do you navigate life for yourself as a Vata? Like how do you keep yourself in balance?
Well, first of all, I'm not a Vata first.
Okay. You're Pitta first.
Yeah, only a Pitta would tell you like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you look more Pitta. Your personality seems Pitta. You said Vata, so I'm Pitta Vata. Like
I'm
Vata pulls me.
Pitta through and through. Here's the thing. Vata is the one that has tortured me the most. Vata has been my constant companion. And it wasn't until I actually grounded Vata that I discovered how Pitta I really am.
Wow.
I'm very uncomfortable with my Pitta. I'm way more comfortable with Vata. I'm way more comfortable with Kapha, usually. Pitta is like terrifying to me. In other words, if you're listening out there, it's often our true nature that scares us the most, and we're running from it. And we get vitiated in all these other ways. And so how that looks emotionally can be like, I'm way more comfortable being anxious and afraid than I am being angry or rageful or hateful. But whenever you start to do this practice, you start to realize that a lot of the layers of what we present to the world are the exact opposite of what our dosha actually is at birth.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shivani Gupta, and I created Fusionary Formulas because I believe everyone deserves a natural way to support their body's health. If you struggle with joint discomfort or stiffness, our Turmeric Gold delivers powerful curcumin in a form your body can truly absorb. It's science-backed with the highest quality ingredients and designed to support your body's natural inflammatory response. Take the next step in your health and wellness journey today. Visit FusionaryFormulas.com and use code FusionaryHealth for 15% off. Fusionary Formulas, ancient wisdom, modern science, maximum impact.
So one of the ways that I've grounded Vata and now kind of dealing more in every way with fire in my life has been this magical practice of working with what are in Ayurveda are called the prana vayus. And vayu means wind and prana means life energy. And that sounds kind of mystical, but basically it rides on the principle that where you pour your attention, energy goes.
Yep.
So when we live up in our heads, on our screens and our devices, our prana, our energy, and therefore our focus goes up into our hearts and heads and out in front of us. And so our energy body gets distorted. We're up in our heads, we're disembodied, and we're in the future. We're living outside of our bodies. And that is terrifying.
Yeah.
You have no root. You have no tree root. So at Shakti School, literally, I start every single class inviting our students to come in our body and down, literally feeling our legs, the soles of our feet, and even imagining going into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Grounding, people think it's going downward. It's not. Grounding means you're all the way in your body and you can feel the feet on the earth, and you're allowing the biomagnetic current of the earth to come back up all the way into you. So it's like a light socket. It plugs you into the ground. So what I try to do every day for at least 5 minutes, sometimes 20, sometimes an hour, is it's like the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It's like lifting the heaviest weight. I pour my attention into my legs and into the ground, and I let the earth come up into me. And at first it's like, am I making this up? And it's like, kind of. But then over time, you start to have a more subtle sensing system. The yogis talked about this. And you can feel the supportive energy of the actual earth. So that's a meditation that anybody could do. We talk a lot about breath work in like the biohacking and the wellness world. But here's the thing, Dr. Shivani, breath work can be really bad for people if they just keep pumping all that energy up and out of themselves, which we see a lot of our friends doing.
Sure.
And it's a very male thing to want to like get energy to move up and out of you. If you think about the male organ, it likes to shoot things up and out of it. It's like the feminine actually needs to go in and down.
Yeah.
And so that's really what we practice for grounding. I don't know if that's making sense, but that's just what we do.
It makes total sense. Ayurveda wanted us to be in rhythm with nature. And I think it's interesting to watch the biohacking movement because, it's so much about tech. And the tech is just replicating so much of what Mother Nature gives us. And so whenever I walk through the conferences, I'm like, I want that. And then I'm like, why? It's called Feet in the Ground. I want that. It's called Please Go Sit in the Sun for 20 minutes a day.
Don't you find you want to leave the conferences and go outside?
Yes, I've started doing that because it's just so overwhelming. And then I find people out there absorbing the sun. And I'm like, okay, so you're my people. I got it.
We need to have something outdoors. So let me ask you this selfishly, and I think this will help all of our listeners. I think you and I would love to geek out on the very subtle stuff, but like, let's say someone, and I know Dr. Shivani is one of our newest teachers in the Shakti school, and you just did a class on inflammation. Yes, we need to do the reducing of the mental inflammation, which is its whole thing, including trauma and all this stuff, right? But what if someone could only start with the more superficial? In the book, okay, let's do it like this. My whole house burned down just now. How much turmeric should I be taking every day?
Oh, good question.
What is the maximum therapeutic dose?
That's a great question. And you went through mold, and mold is even more reason to take turmeric. I mean, for me, I'm the turmeric girl. I'm the biggest fan of utilizing turmeric across the board. The whole reason I even built my turmeric supplement was when I finished my PhD, people would come to me and they'd be like, oh, you did Ayurveda. Can you help me with? And they'd say leg pain, knee pain, hip pain, back pain. I have a cold. I have a sore throat. I'm going through a really stressful time. I just learned this person has name X health condition.
Yeah.
And I would always say, you can take turmeric for that. And my family around me thought I was nuts, but I was like, did you know turmeric's antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal? It's an
anti-inflammatory,
antioxidant, anti-aging, gut supportive. So it gets rid of the bad. It's anti-H. pylori, anti-candida, antimicrobial, right? So it's going to take out the bad, but it knows how to leave the good. So to answer your question, a normal dose of curcumin, according to the research and science, is 1,000 milligrams a day.
Okay.
So that's 2 capsules. Now,
really?
Shivani,
that's so low.
So Shivani play with that a lot. In the same science that we have published on PubMed, it shows up to 8 grams a day is safe. That would be 16 capsules. You'd have to have a really compelling reason to go at that level. And I know groups of people for certain disease pathologies.
Like an actual medical acute condition.
Correct.
Right.
Like a big one. Like your life is over if you don't start doing some really serious things. Then you would start at that kind of a dosage, and you'd have to be careful because there's going to be a GI repercussion to putting such hot spices.
In Ayurveda, turmeric can be drying.
Correct. It can be drying and it can be heating. So we have to be a little careful. Now, when people ask me about that, which is so rare, I'm like, listen, we live in modern day times in air-conditioned homes. So don't tell me it's too heating compared to everything else you're going to do that's processed and trash. And then, yes, it's drying. We should be hydrating. Like, we should be watching out. We should be eating healthy fats. Exactly. Like the ghee alone would undo that issue.
Okay.
So when people ask me directly, I'll guide them personally. I'll say, get on the phone with me so I can personally tell you what to do. And if I personally, as Shivani, am fighting a cold, like let's say the kid came home and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want that gross thing. Mm-hmm. I'll take 2, 2, and 2. That's what I consider my high dose. Yeah. And I'll kick something out fast and then I'll go back to my regular dosage. Mm-hmm. So that's how I think of it, as like you can high dose sometimes, but reasonably and for short periods of time.
I remember we had a teacher in the Shakti school in the very beginning named Prashanti. He started the company Organic India. I mean, this guy is like the real deal, like lived in India probably half of his life. And I remember being at his house and he made this turmeric concoction. And he was like, yesterday I was chopping wood for 8 hours and I'm inflamed from that. And I remember him saying the amount that I'm telling people to take on the bottle is like the minimum. Yeah. And you can take so much more, especially for an acute moment in your life. And that really stuck with me. I think I'm going to take some turmeric after this call.
Well, anytime you're dealing with mold, I'm having a year of mold in my life, and actually a company's coming today to just rip out another section of the house because I just want the project done. Yeah. Curcumin is antifungal. So it is part of any mold protocol. And so as I'm going through this journey, I'm like, well, we're all exposed to mold. We're all exposed to different types of toxins in our life. We know the toxin burden is rising. Right. We know because of the volume of toxin burdens, we are so inflamed. That's like a whole chapter in my book, is the toxic lifestyle is the problem. Mm-hmm. And it's the unseen. And so that's where I'm like, what is our defense plan against all the unseen? And how do we just keep that overflowing bucket of inflammation down so that we have the space to keep filling it up with the habits we have? Like I need more space in the bucket. So to me, curcumin is my number one. I love the other super spices. I'm not just about turmeric. Mm-hmm. That's when I made those teas. I was like, let's make a sleep tea that's actually effective. Let's make an unwind tea that's actually supportive when you're anxious. Let's make a menopause tea because I need those adaptogens every day to cool myself down. Then it's good for menopause as well. So I think we have an opportunity to use Ayurveda in the very modern sense, like get the help. And then once I've gotten you feeling good, then we can talk about lifestyle. Because I find if I'm like, hey, Katie, your life is burning down, but I would really like you to go do some Pyung massage. And I really need you to dry brush. And I need you're going to look at me like, okay, honey, like for one thing at a time, let's get me out of the fires of what's happening. And then I can move forward.
Yeah. And it's making me think about the ancient texts talk about this must be adapted for the time, the place, and the people in which it's being presented. And also, this is the challenge of just our time, that Kali Yuga that we're in. Correct. And that is, and you and I kind of spoke about this before we got on the call, and that is, if the diet is not correct, the medicines are of no use. This is what Ayurveda teaches. So you're like, well, wait, okay, my diet is really clean. What's going on? But it is not our fault, in the sense that we are all living in a world where a Whole Foods, organic, grass-fed steak has more microplastics in it than a shitty steak from Costco. In other words, what I'm saying is, I just found out there's a lawsuit against, and I'm going to say allegedly, so we don't get sued, but there's a lawsuit against Mountain Valley spring water, which is the most expensive spring water that you buy in bottles that I've been using for 2 years. This lawsuit is saying it's full of carcinogens. They've been lying. So here you are trying to drink the most wonderful spring water, eat the most wonderful grass-fed steaks, and do all the right things. And we find out it's full of plastics and carcinogens. It's like there's a certain level of divine surrender we have to have around it. And that's why, something like turmeric in your products are really important, or people coming to Shakti school is so important, because this is a spiritual dilemma where at some point you just have to surrender to the culture in which we live in, that they weren't living in India or anywhere. There weren't microplastics and everything, but guess what there was? Snakes that would kill you. And, the average lifespan is going to be 40. Right. So there's give and take. But I think also having just throw your hands up at some point and be like, you know what? There is going to be microplastics and mold and toxins, and we just have to keep living.
Correct.
This is our karma.
It's true. And, when I taught in Shakti school a couple weeks ago, I was so impressed by the women there, because I was watching them. I was like, I'm so curious. Like, who are these women who chose to study Ayurveda and take this step forward in their lives? And as I watched them, I was like, this is a group of women who are seekers. They're seeking something. They're seeking vitality and health for themselves. Maybe it was a health struggle journey they went on with their families. In my case, the whole reason I studied Ayurveda was I was surrounded by a family that was all diabetic. And the last quarter of life was heart attack, stroke, leg amputation, cancer, quadruple bypass. And I was like, wow, that's what the last quarter looks like. We are so screwed. I know my parents are screwed. I know I'm screwed. Every cousin, I'm a very close-knit, big family like we usually are in the Indian culture. So I was like, well, I statistically need to fix this, or we're all going to end up like them, like the grandparents and their siblings. Because back then they all had 5 siblings.
Are you the firstborn?
I am.
Of course. Yeah. The firstborn always thinks it's her job to save the family from ruin.
I have been doing that since I was like 10. I was like, I have to solve this. I have to win. I will cure diabetes. That was my goal, my whole life.
You were the firstborn.
Yeah. And I was like, I will find a cure in this life. So that's why when I found turmeric, I was like, oh my God, are you kidding? I'm Indian. And my turmeric in my kitchen could have done that. Why didn't you save my family?
Right. And why are and hello, India, do not follow the Americans. Like, you guys are in India are starting to get the Western diseases inherited from our culture, so it's no longer a Western Eastern thing. It's a global. I remember I lived in Costa Rica when I was 16. And when I went back in my 20s, I was shocked.
Yeah.
Everyone, when I lived there, they were eating rice and literally turtle meat. How wonderful, right? They looked like beautiful, beautiful beings, right? I go back, they were all obese. They were eating chips out of bags.
Yep. I mean, the West has exported the worst aspects of itself. You travel, I go to Italy, and it's one of my favorite places. And it's like McDonald's, all the stuff. And I do think that we have this like horrible global agenda of exporting the worst garbage and literally converting other cultures to believing that the garbage of our country, I'm American born, like the garbage part of our country is what we should export. And that makes no sense to me.
No.
Like, we have, as a planet, forgotten that each of our cultures have so much beauty and that ancient wisdom is what matters. And that's why I love that we met, because I was like, wow, we just have different flavors of teaching this incredible wisdom and science. And why have I not like hugged and met every single human who's here in America who teaches Ayurveda? Because we each have pulled in the wisdom in our own way, and we're teaching it in our own way. I'm very like turmeric first, spices first, and then I'm lifestyle after.
I love that.
And then when I went to Shakti school, I'm like, wow, you guys are all about the nourishment and the wholeness. And I love that piece of Ayurveda. I need that piece. And I thought, oh gosh, these must be all people who are going to practice Ayurveda. But I felt like it's kind of like when you do a yoga certification. I did my yoga certification in 2020. I didn't do it to be a yoga teacher. I actually did it for me.
For you. Yeah.
And it changed my yoga practice completely. Yoga to me is so blissful now in a different way completely than it was pre-certification. And then I felt the same way about Shakti School. Like my endorsement for you as Shakti School is, it felt like a school of self-nourishment, self-knowledge, and self-evolution that every woman needs, because we're living in a time where we're actually kind of pulled apart. We're pulled into 100 different thought processes and energies, and we have forgotten how to bring ourselves back into wholeness. And so to put yourself in community around women who are seeking the natural remedies, the Ayurvedic wisdoms, and how to bring back their own Shakti, their own power, that's the thing we need the most.
Thank you. Wow. Well, we are so honored to have found you and invited you to be one of our new senior teachers at the Shakti School. And I think you just wrote our tagline for our next marketing season. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we found each other in this life.
Yeah. And I was so excited when I met you because like you made some comment and I was like, oh, she's a modern Ayurveda girl.
He's naughty. I'm crude. I'm crass. Yeah. I was writing something today and it was like, we had Dr. John Douliard as one of our senior teachers. He was with us last week and he started the class off. He was like, hey, a lot of Ayurveda schools are struggling right now. And I hear a rumor that the Shakti school is blowing up. And I'm just laughing. I'm like, who knows what are you talking about? But it's true. And it's whatever that means, our spirit is blowing up in the sense that we are so real. Like I was writing this email and it was like, we're so obsessed with these ancient perfect codes for living when a lot of these women are addicted to iced coffee and Instagram. Like, meet people where they are. Real life is really hard for a lot of women right now and men. And I think having that place where you can come and truly feel like you don't have to be this like holy, perfect person that's going to do all these Ayurveda routines every day. It's unrealistic.
It is.
And I'm a big fan of like spirit first, then everything else second. But sometimes you have to interrupt a pattern. And I think that's where the herbs can be huge allies. Like I always tell students, it's really hard to connect to God if you're super constipated and inflamed.
Totally.
So get the inflammation down, get your poos going, and suddenly you're in a good mood and you can feel the divine.
I love that. What a way to explain it. But
Maybe
it's
that's
true.
the title of the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. No, it's true. We in Ayurveda definitely want everyone to do everything right. And I feel that sometimes. And it was humbling to write a book because you're like, oh my gosh, is anyone going to do 10% of what I'm saying here? And so I worked with an editor and she cut I hate when editors cut so much out, but she said, we have to simplify.
Yeah.
We have to keep it easy. We have to keep it attainable. And I think that's why when we met, I was like, I have certain things I do that I know are 100% not Ayurvedic. My stress tell, like if life is going to crap, I remember my mom was getting a surgery and I was here in Florida. She's in Houston, Texas. I was freaking out, couldn't function. And what did I reach for? Chardonnay and nachos. Those are my tells. The minute I reach for those, I remember I had a nanny when the kids were little. The minute I heated up nachos and opened a bottle of wine, she goes, children, we have to go now. Because there's something so wrong that Shivani would reach for her biggest stress tool because she literally can't process what's happening. Yeah. And so it's interesting. My kids even know it. They're like, okay, all righty. We're going to go watch TV. We'll see you later, Mom.
So there you go. Everyone, if Dr. Shivani and Katie are reaching for the Chardonnay and nachos every now and then, we all have to take the pressure valve off and just give ourselves a lot of grace. I think we're all doing the best we can.
Yeah, we are. And the awareness of it, right? Like when I see myself thinking about certain foods or certain things, Ayurveda's given me the language to understand, oh, okay, you want your gluten-free pizza and you've thought about it 3 times today? What's the issue? What's going on? And what is the antidote? The antidote is feet in the ground. The antidote is more tea time is me time. The antidote is you jammed your schedule too hard, honey. Build breaks and go do the one thing your intuition tells you need, like trust the voice that's coming through. Don't make it that the self-care list of Ayurveda or wellness or biohacking right now truly jams the schedule harder.
Totally.
And then you're wondering why you're in the mess that you're in. And you don't want to do any of it. Because a lot of times I do refer to functional medicine. People who come to me, I'm like, hold up, I need a lot of diagnostics on you. I actually have a lot of feelings about what's happening there. I want a stool test. I want this data. And the minute they go to functional medicine, they're like, gosh, why'd you send us? That's a lot of supplements. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of homework. And I'm like, well, sometimes we need it. Yeah. And then I can help you on the Ayurveda side.
Right.
But it's so overwhelming. Sometimes people can't even begin that work. So how do you work with people when you're like, hey, all the sciences matter, but you have to make space for you too?
So I have a proposal for you. I have a couple of fun things that I think we should use to end the interview.
Okay.
Do you want to do an Ayurveda, the world's first Ayurveda girl power lightning round with me?
Let's do it.
All right. We'll both do it. All right. Lightning round with Dr. Shivani and Katie Silcox. What is your favorite Ayurvedic herb, the one that you would take to a desert island?
Oh, definitely turmeric all day long. Turmeric's the best thing ever, and it does everything.
So I'm going to challenge that and say it's actually Triphala. Triphala!
Oh. Triphala is so good. So good.
She does everything. And I love in Ayurveda, Indians are so hyperbolic. They're like, you don't have a mother? Okay, take Triphala. It's like the worst problem a baby could have. No mother. Just take Triphala. Okay, second one. What is the most underrated Ayurvedic ritual that people overlook, but it's a game changer?
Ooh. Gosh, they're all so good. Okay, I choose tongue scraping.
Wow.
People underestimate the power of tongue scraping. I have healed people's constipation with tongue scraping. I believe it's the best AMA toxin reducing support we can have every day. And honestly, I think it's the one thing I will impact the world with the most. And it's not going to be turmeric. It's actually going to be tongue scraping. So that one to me is an exciting one because it's so powerful. Now, I was going to choose Abhyang because Abhyang is like, to me, mega powerful that we underestimate, but I go with tongue scraping.
My brain is saying neti pot because I don't do it enough and I need to. And I think there's a whole spirituality around neti pot. So yeah, neti pot. What's one modern wellness trend that you think your ancient Ayurvedic ancestors would roll their eyes at?
Cold plunging. What the absolute F. The fact that we as a society think we can all cold plunge, I think is beyond insanity. Like, why do we think, oh, all the men can just go jump in, and so we as all the women can?
Especially the Vata. Agree.
Exactly. I'm like, I cannot even.
55 degrees is all women need for cool. Yeah. All right. Oh, God. Last one. If there were a theme song to Ayurveda, what would it be?
Ooh. Oh my gosh. You know Snatham Kaur, the artist who sings all the yoga music? I love all her songs. So whenever I need to cool down, calm down, center and ground in my day, which is usually before every podcast I do, I'll listen to her music. She has a song called Om Namo. She has Rama Dasa, like all those songs. Any of her music, I find it, to me, is the anthem of Ayurveda because it's so centering, grounding, and aligning. So I enjoy that music a lot.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'll add, there's a song, I grew up Southern Baptist, and it's so sweet, and it's called I Surrender All. And I think just starting from that place of just openness and surrender. What a fun time. I love that. Having you.
I'm curious, what is your wellness tool that's modern that you think is the nuttiest?
Oh, I skipped it. You're right. There's one that came to mind, but it's a friend's product, so I don't want to say it. I think that what I would say is that I think if our ancient Ayurvedic ancestors came and walked in on a biohackers conference, they would just roll their eyes at the whole thing. Even though I'm a biohacker, I have like a lot of products that I actually love, as I know you do. And a lot of our friends run these companies.
Yes.
But I think that they would come, and I think even our friends that run these companies know this. They would go, what? Just go outside and dance and sing and be with each other. And I think that really is speaks to the modern place that we find ourselves, where what makes us divine is actually what makes us human. It's nature, it's compassion, it's love, it's relationship, it's creativity, it's intuition. It's all these things that AI will never be and technology never can do.
True.
And I think as long as we keep that as our North Star, get the biohacking stuff. But that, I think, is the big eye roll.
Absolutely. I mean, I love a lot of the biohacking tools. I have an infrared sauna. I have the PEMF mat in my office chair.
Love
but
it.
I consider those enhancements, right?
Yeah.
I know that on any given day, what if I don't get out in nature enough? I need the support.
Yeah.
What if there's mold in my life and I need to detox harder and bigger than my time I'm going to make for panchakarma or my seasonal detoxing.
Yeah.
So to me, it's an enhancement, but I agree with you. Sometimes we go so overboard, and I wonder if we're going to spend hours biohacking when the same, just a slice of that could have been used for the Ayurveda rituals, and we would have won anyway. So to me, I agree with you. We are living in this crazy modern time. And I think what we're craving the most is that wholeness and that nourishment. And I know that you teach it in Shakti school because you're bringing all that wisdom together into one place. I saw it because I logged into school and I was like, I just want to sit and do this. This is amazing.
Me too.
And then I do it with the super spices. I just bring the spices forward into tea, into supplements, into a way that you can feel and use. And I'm a big fan of that ritual of tea to ground us and get us present. To me, tea is everything. And so I just wish that everyone would try Ayurveda. Just step into this world with us because it's a really beautiful world.
Well, can people buy your book now?
Yes. So the book, The Inflammation Code, is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and everywhere that books are sold. So yes, it's available. It's called The Inflammation Code.
Great. We'll definitely put the link in our show notes. And everybody, if you're interested, Dr. Shivani is our newest teacher. Level 1 is happening now, our signups, and we're still in early birds. So do not wait, get in. And as she said, this is not just a school for people that want to be coaches. This is a school for women in general. So we'd love to see you there. And there I'll be, and there will Dr. Shivani be as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for listening today. This has been a co-episode. I haven't even done that before, but talk about fun when you're so aligned and you're speaking the exact same language. So thank you for joining me on the podcast. I'm so glad I got to join you on yours. And stay well, everyone.
Thanks. See you guys.
Thanks for joining me for this episode. Check out our sponsor, Fusionary Formulas, the potent turmeric supplement used by doctors around the U.S. for patients with pain and inflammation. www.fusionaryformulas.com. I'm your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta. For more, visit shivanigupta.com. Subscribe to this podcast in Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Click the follow button or subscribe in any of the apps that you use. That's all I've got for you on the Fusionary Health Podcast this week. You have the power to transform your health and achieve vibrant health starting today.